Hello and welcome to Today in History. My name is Sotonye Afiasimaba. So let's get cracking. Let's roll our blind to the year 1492. This is a year that students of history would remember from the history lesson, the discovery of the New World. So Christopher Columbus sighted the so-called New World, or discovered, in quotes, the so-called New World on this day in 1492, when land was sighted. Now, this land was most likely what is today known as San Salvador, but the local Taino people called it Guanahani. It was sighted in the Caribbean from the Pinta, one of the three ships that participated in Christopher Columbus's historic voyage. So this is what happened on this day. I'm going to show you more pictures of this beautiful island. First maps, and then pictures. Beautiful, beautiful island. Guanahani, or San Salvador. So you can see here from the map where it's located in relation to other countries around it, other islands. You can see Cuba to the southeast, so rather southwest, and obviously surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, let's move on to the year 1798, and his name is Pedro I. Pictured here. Who was Pedro I? He was the fourth child of King Dom Pedro VI of Portugal and Queen Carlota, Joaquina, and thus a member of the House of Braganza. When the country was invaded by French troops in 1807, he and his family fled to Portugal's largest and wealthiest colony, Brazil. So this is Pedro I, who was born on this day in 1798. Nicknamed Liberator, he was the founder and first ruler of the Empire of Brazil. As King Dom Pedro IV, he reigned briefly over Portugal, where he also became known as the Liberator as well as the Soldier King. I have talked about Dom Pedro in a video, so go check it out, possibly my September 24th video, because he died on the 24th of September 1834, so that's very likely where I mentioned him a few weeks ago. So go check out that video. If I find it, I'll put a link here so you can check it out. Okay, let us move on to the year 1810. And on this day, the worldwide famous Oktoberfest was celebrated in Munich in the form of a horse race held in honor of the marriage of the Crown Prince of Bavaria, who later became King Louis I. His marriage to Princess Therese von Sachsen-Hildburghausen. Okay, that was quite a mouthful. So this is a picture, a painting of that first Oktoberfest on this day in 1810. Some more pictures of more recent times. Oktoberfest, people getting pissed, people getting drunk, people being merry. So Oktoberfest, founded on this day in 1810. We move on to the year 1854. Lincoln University in the United States, Pennsylvania, was founded. So you can see from this picture here, it is a state-related, historically black university near Oxford, Pennsylvania, United States. Founded as the private Ashmun Institute in 1854, it has been a public institution since 1972 and was the United States' first degree-granting historically black college and university, HBCU. So more pictures of Lincoln University. Obviously not founded as a university in 1854. It was founded as Ashmun Institute in 1854. It became a university 12 years later in 1866. So Lincoln University, this plaque, it says chartered as Ashmun Institute, April 29, 1854, founded by Reverend John Miller Dickey for the purpose of providing liberal higher education for people of African ancestry in America. In 1866, it became Lincoln University, interracial and international. That's good. So, not only did it start as a black university, it opened its doors to people of other races and other nationalities, which is very good. Okay, let's move on to the year 1866. On this day, Ramsay MacDonald, pictured here, was born. Who was Ramsay MacDonald? You may ask. He was the first Labour Party Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in the Labour governments of 1924 and then Labour governments of 1929 to 1931 and the National Coalition government of 1931 to 1935. So he was born on this day in 1866. His name again is Ramsay MacDonald. Let's move on to 1872. Ralph Vaughan Williams, pictured right here, was an English composer. His works include operas, ballets, chamber music, secular and religious vocal pieces, and orchestral compositions, including 9 symphonies written over 60 years. Strongly influenced by Tudor music and English folk song, his output marked a decisive break in British music from its German-dominated style of the 19th century. Vaughan Williams is among the best-known British symphonists, noted for his very wide range of moods, from stormy and impassioned to tranquil, from mysterious to exuberant. Vaughan Williams was born to a well-to-do family with strong moral views and a progressive social outlook. So that's Vaughan Williams again, who was born on this day in 1872. 1896, on this day, also born was Eugenio Montale, who was Eugenio Montale. He was an Italian poet, prose writer, editor, and translator who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1975. Wow, he would have been 79 at the time he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. So he was born on this day in Genoa, Italy. So that's him pictured here with his bird. Not sure what name that bird is called. Looks quite exotic. So, Eugenio Montale, born on this day in 1896, Italian poet, prose writer, editor, and translator, won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1975. Let's move on to the year 1901. And on this day, this building here, which was formerly known as the Executive Mansion, was renamed the White House. Interestingly, in Liberia, where freed African American slaves went to settle, the presidential villa it's still called Executive Mansion, which presumably was borrowed from America, so it's still called Executive Mansion today. So the White House changed its name from the Executive Mansion to the White House on this day. And who was in power then? It was President Theodore Roosevelt, who officially changed the name while he was president. And this is what the White House looked like when he was in power, when he was president of the United States. So let's move on to the year 1915. So 14 years later, Edith Cavell, this brave nurse, you know what she did? She assisted Allied soldiers, hundreds and hundreds of Allied soldiers, in escaping from German-occupied Belgium. So, what happened to her on this day? She was executed, sadly, for helping these Allied soldiers escape. So, reminds me of Florence Nightingale. Obviously, Florence, all she did was help wounded soldiers during the war, Crimean War, I think it was. But this is Edith Cavell. I guess she wanted to follow in the footsteps of, somewhat, of Florence Nightingale. But yeah, she was executed on this day, sadly. So that's a hero, a brave lady. 1935, 20 years later, the world welcomed Luciano Pavarotti. He was an Italian opera singer, born in Modena, Italy. Full name, Luciano Pavarotti, Cavaliere di Gran Croce, was an Italian operatic tenor who, during the late part of his career, crossed over into popular music, eventually becoming one of the most acclaimed and loved tenors of all times. He made numerous recordings of complete operas and individual arias, gaining worldwide fame for the quality of his tone, and eventually established himself as one of the finest tenors of the 20th century, achieving the honorific title King of the High Seas. Seas is not S-E-A-S, but C, big C and small s. So high seas is in a C notation, or the key of C, if that makes sense, for those who are not music aficionados. As one of the three tenors who performed their first concert during the 1990 FIFA World Cup before a global audience, Pavarotti became well known for his televised concerts and media appearances. From the beginning of his professional career as a tenor in 1961 in Italy to his final performance of Nessun Dorma at the 2006 Winter Olympics in Turin, Pavarotti was at his best in bel canto operas, pre-Aida Verdi roles, and Puccini works such as La Bohème, Tosca, Turandot, and Madame Butterfly. He sold over, wait for this, 100 million records, and the first three tenors recording became the best-selling classical album of all time. Pavarotti was also noted for his charity work on behalf of refugees and the Red Cross, amongst others. He died from pancreatic cancer on the 6th of September 2007. So that is Luciano Pavarotti, the greatest tenor of all time. Equatorial Guinea gained its independence on this day in 1968. It's all the information right here in front of you in this picture. It gained its independence from Spain. It is a republic, as it says here. It gained independence from Spain on October 12th, 1968. The president is Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo. The presidents serve 7-year terms with no term limits. I suspect he is still, if he's still alive, not sure. Shouldn't say what I don't know, but yeah, that's the snapshot of Equatorial Guinea's president and their independence from Spain, celebrated on this day, October 12th. Let's move on to the year 1999. So this is what happened on this day. 1998, I beg your pardon. American college student Matthew Shepard died in Fort Collins, Colorado, several days after being beaten by two men and left in the cold in Laramie, Wyoming. Shepard's homosexuality was believed to have motivated the attack, and his death contributed to the expansion of federal hate crime legislation. So it's very sad that someone, presumably, because we don't know the real reason, but very likely It's said that he was beaten mercilessly because of his sexual orientation. I don't know why human beings cannot just live at peace with one another. Just let people be. But if he decides that that's what he wants to do, we let him be. Why would you take the life of another person? Why would you injure someone else because he's got a different sexual orientation than you have? You know, it's so sad. Why not just live and let live? You know, let people be. Just because he's gay doesn't mean you should hate him and, you know, trolls. No, I don't understand. You know, but well, that's the world we live in. You know, people are hated because they're women, they're black, they're white, they're fat, they're thin, they're tall, they're short. You know, it's just, you know, they have an accent, they don't have an accent. Well, everyone has an accent. You know, I don't know. We should learn to live, you know, at peace with each other. You know, so sadly, this guy, this college student Matthew Shepard, died 6 days later, 6 days after being badly beaten by two men and left out in the cold. You know, people are evil, absolutely evil. So our hearts go to his family today. They'll obviously be thinking about their loved one who died today, 22 years ago. So a year after this incident, this basketball player, Wilt Chamberlain, considered one of the greatest offensive players in the history of the game, he died at the age of 63. So that's Wilt Chamberlain, who died at the age of 63 on this day. Last but not least, we encounter this gentleman, former United Nations Secretary General. His name is Kofi Annan. He got the Centennial Nobel Prize for Peace that was awarded to him by the United Nations on this day in 2001. So the Centennial Nobel Prize for Peace was awarded to the United Nations and the organization's Secretary General, Kofi Annan. This was the day it happened, and the year was 2001. On that note, we shall end today's Today in History. Obviously, we hope for a better world. It's not just about awarding peace plaques and, you know, but the world is far from being at peace, as we all know. So we'll continue to do our bit so that we can live peaceably with one another. Okay, guys, kudos to Kofi Annan, kudos to all those who have contributed to bring peace to our world. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this was educational and entertaining in some way. If you do like the video, give me a thumbs up and share this with your family and friends. Also, subscribe by clicking on the notification bell so that you receive updates of my video uploads. I shall see you tomorrow, the 13th of October, for another edition of Today in History. Thanks for dropping by. Stay safe. Bye-bye.